Hi, Miriam. How are you? Um, so tonight, guys, I'm really excited because we have Zora Falkowski she's the communications officer with the North Carolina Treasury's office, and they're the ones who really house the NC Able account. And so tonight, she's going to go over a lot of information. And so what we would really love to do is hold questions until the end, but if you would like, you're welcome to drop them in the chat, and then we can go through them, if it's something that comes up and you don't want to forget it, you could drop it in the chat, and then we can go back and catch that at the end. So what I plan on doing as well is we're recording this, and then Zora is also going to send us a PDF of the PowerPoint, and probably tomorrow morning I will send you both the link for the recording as well as the PDF of the PowerPoint. So Zora, I'm going to move to the other room with all the other guests who are here, and I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to mute myself here.
Okay, thank you for that introduction, Stephanie. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you all see the presentation yet? Nope, okay. Okay, now can you all see it? Okay, great, thank you for that. So as Stephanie mentioned, my name is Zora Falkowski, and I am the Communications Officer at the North Carolina Department of State Treasurer. And we actually administer the NC Able program. So a large part of my job is to actually go around and help educate people about the benefits, features, and eligibility of NC Able. All right. So to give a little bit of background here, the ABLE program stands for Achieving a Better Life Experience. And the NC ABLE program is actually relatively new. So this slide shows at a high level the timeline of how the program actually came about. So in November of 2011, federal legislation around the ABLE Act was first introduced by U.S. Senator Richard Burr, and he's actually from North Carolina. Then in December of 2014, the ABLE Act was signed into federal law. Then in August of 2015, the NC ABLE Act was signed into law, and that allowed North Carolina to offer the program to eligible citizens for the first time ever in this state. And then you'll see there in December of 2022, the ABLE Age Adjustment Act actually passed as part of Secure 2.0. And this is actually a huge milestone for NC ABLE, since it raises the age of eligibility for the program from the age of 26 years old to 46 years old, starting in the year 2026. So estimates say that this will actually open program eligibility up to around 8 million new people, including approximately 1 million veterans. So again, this is a change that just recently happened, and it's something we're really, really excited about. So on this map, you'll see that as of today, 46 different states offer an ABLE program. And really all of the programs are pretty similar, since we all have to follow the same federal legislation. But there are some differences, such as the different investment options and the different fees. So on this map, you can see those states whose program is open to all US residents, and those are in green. And then those states where their program are only open to residents of their state are in gold. And then the states in blue currently do not offer any type of ABLE program. So you'll see here that North Carolina is in green, and that's because we are open to all residents of the United States. And again, that's something that's really, really nice about the ABLE program. So why choose NC ABLE over other programs? There are actually several reasons why we think NC ABLE accounts stand out. And one of the big things we think sets North Carolina apart from other ABLE programs is that North Carolina is part of the National ABLE Alliance. And that is a consortium of 17 states plus the District of Columbia. And really, it provides us with increased buying power and leverage in the marketplace. So in other words, it really allows us to bring the total size of the alliance to the marketplace to really help keep our program fees competitive with different investment managers and our partner who runs the call center. Another great thing about NC ABLE is we also work really hard to be transparent about all of our fees and the expenses related to the program. And I'll actually specifically talk about the fees a little later on in the presentation. Another distinction of NC ABLE is that North Carolina allows a parent to open an account for their child, even if that child is no longer a minor. And we find that this is just really another helpful way to get accounts open if perhaps someone is deemed incompetent and they cannot open up a financial account on their own. We also have partnerships with many advocacy groups, such as the ARC, the Autism Society of North Carolina, and Special Olympics of North Carolina, just to name a few. And what's really great with working with these organizations is as we hear of issues and concerns as it pertains to NC ABLE account holders, we are happy to work on their behalf to go to the North Carolina General Assembly and advocate for any enhancements that are needed to the program. And then lastly, one thing I want to mention that's actually not noted on this slide is the NC ABLE program is overseen by a board made up of 6 individuals, including the treasurer of North Carolina, who actually serves as the chair. And what's really great about this is the board provides additional oversight to the program and really acts as another layer of protection for NC ABLE account holders. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the benefits that NC ABLE provides. So really the wonderful news about ABLE programs and the NC ABLE program is it's a really great way for people with disabilities to save and invest money. Another great thing is it allows account holders to save for both everyday expenses that they may have now, as well as expenses that they may have in the future. So if an individual is participating in any sort of federal or state benefit programs, such as supplemental security income or SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance or SSDI, Medicaid, HUD, these resources typically have a cap where you can save up to $2,000 without jeopardizing these benefits. However, with an NC ABLE account, people can save beyond that $2,000 threshold without losing their public supports. And if you think about it, that's a really, really big deal for someone who may have been, trained their entire life not to save money just due to those resource cap limits. One thing I do want to point out here is that you do not have to be receiving public benefits in order to open an NC ABLE account. We do have quite a few account holders who, are receiving public supports, and that's a really great benefit. However, again, you do not need to be receiving public supports in order to have an NC ABLE account. So what makes someone eligible for an NC ABLE account? So when looking at who can open an account, it's actually pretty straightforward, but there are a few criteria that you need to be aware of. So, one of the following on the slide must be true in order for you to be eligible to open an NC-able account. So, the first criteria is an individual must have a disability that can be evidenced by a written diagnosis from a licensed physician, or if they meet the eligibility standard for SSI or SSDI due to that disability. The second criteria is an individual's disability must have occurred prior to the age of 26. And again, people of all ages can open an NC-able account. However, their disability must have been diagnosed prior to the age of 6. And as I mentioned earlier, the good news here is that with the recent passage of the Able Age Adjustment Act, the age of eligibility will bump up to 46 years old starting in the year 2026. And then the third criteria is you can be eligible for an NC-able account if you have a condition that's noted on the Social Security Administration's Compassionate Allowances list. And we've actually provided you a link to the full list on the slide, and I really encourage you all to take a look because it's pretty extensive. So it covers things like certain cancers, adult brain disorders, and a number of disorders that affect children. I do want to note here that NC-able is a self-certification program. So the self-certification occurs at the time when the account is first open and then every year thereafter. Now, if that sounds difficult, it really isn't. Um, every year when an individual gets their account statement, there's literally messaging on the statement that says, as a reminder, it's up to you, the account owner, to notify us if you are no longer eligible for an NC-able account. So if you are still eligible, there's nothing you have to do. If you aren't eligible anymore, it provides clear information on how you can contact us. So again, self-certification program, but it's also very easy to do. So now let's look at how you actually open an NC-able account. So when looking at who can actually open an NC-able account, if the person has legal capacity, then they, the account owner, or the individual with the disability themselves can open an account. Also, the person with power of attorney from the eligible account owner can also open an account. Now, if the eligible account owner does not have legal capacity, then what we call an authorized individual can help open an account. And authorized individuals are parties who can help an eligible account owner open and or manage their account. And I'll actually go more into detail about this further in the presentation. But for now, just understand that an authorized individual can include people like an agent under power of attorney, a legal guardian of an eligible account owner, a spouse of an eligible account owner, a parent, a sibling of an eligible account owner, grandparents of an eligible account owner, or a representative payee of an eligible account owner who is appointed by the Social Security Administration. Now let's look at how you actually open an NC-able account. So the good news here is that you can do the entire process online. So you can enroll at our website, ncable.org. And if you go to that website, you'll find a blue box that says open an account. You simply click on that box and it's about a 15-minute process that's very straightforward. But for people who may need a little extra help, we do have a client service center, and they are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. at that toll-free number that's listed on this slide, and they can literally help walk you through the process. So for people who may not have access to the internet, or if they don't feel comfortable enrolling online, we encourage people to go to the library or any other internet access point, go to the enrollment website and simply print out the enrollment form. You can then just fill out the form and mail it in. You can also call our customer service team and they can send you a hard copy of the enrollment form in the mail if you prefer to do that as well. I do want to note before you start the enrollment process that there is a $25 minimum deposit needed in order to open an NC-able account. So now let's take a look at interested parties on an NC-able account. So again, one of the unique features of NC-able accounts is that the individual with the disability is actually considered the account owner. So if someone else contributes or gives them money, it becomes the account holder's money. However, we do have members that either do not have the ability to open an account or the expertise to continue to manage their account once it's open. And because of this, we have what's called an interested party. And an interested party can view and access information about the account. However, they cannot do things like move money around in the account or withdraw money. So you can actually think of it as read-only access, where the interested party can see how much money there is and how it is invested. Some good examples of people who may be assigned this level of responsibility, maybe people like a financial advisor, a CPA, or a legal counsel who are just simply helping the account owner. So again, for account owners who just need that high level of help, an interested party will be able to access and view all of their account information to help them make decisions. But for account owners who need maybe even additional help managing their account, they can assign what we call an authorized individual. And the authorized individual will have full access to their account. And that means the authorized individual will be able to review information, move money around, withdraw money. Basically, they can do anything that the account owner can do. And I'll go a little bit more into detail on this in the next slides. Of note here, an account owner can have both an interested party and an authorized individual listed on their account. So that kind of gives them that high level of help as well as that more kind of hand-holding help with their account. Now let's look at how authorized individuals differ from the account owner and what documentation they need in order to be added onto an NC-able account. So again, as a reminder, the person who actually qualifies for an NC-able account is considered the account owner, and everything is under their name. However, an authorized individual can be added to help manage and or open the account on behalf of the account owner. So authorized individuals can work on behalf of either a minor account owner and or an adult account owner who either one lacks the legal capacity to contract and the authorized individual has authority to act, or two, if they do have legal capacity and they have granted the authorized individual power of attorney. So when looking at this slide, you'll see the people who can actually be deemed an authorized individual and help someone open and or manage an ABLE account on behalf of the account owner. So then it also lists the different type of documentation underneath that is needed in order to prove your relationship to the account owner. So for instance here, if you're say acting as an agent under power of attorney for an account owner, you will need to provide the official power of attorney document from the court. In looking at this slide, if you are a spouse of an account owner, you would need to provide your official marriage certificate. If you're a parent of an eligible account owner, you would need to provide their birth certificate and so on. And then if you have additional questions about this, the different type of people who can be deemed an authorized individual, as well as the needed documentation, is also listed on our website, ncable.org. Next, I'm going to cover the different contribution sources and limits with an NC-able account. So one of the really nice features of NC-able accounts is that it is very flexible when it comes to contributing money into the account. So basically, anyone and everyone can contribute on behalf of the account owner. And if the account owner is employed, even their earned income can go directly into the account. You'll see on the slide that family and friends can also contribute, and you can even roll over money from a 529 college savings plan directly into an NC-able account. However, there are some contribution limits to the ABLE programs that you need to be aware of. So first of all, there is an annual account limit of $17,000 from all contribution sources. Secondly, up to $100,000 can be saved, and the account owner can still participate in SSI and SSDI without a reduction in these benefits. And then lastly, there is a $540,000 lifetime balance limit over the entire span of the account. So one thing that comes up quite a bit, and I want to note here, is that if the $100,000 limit is reached, then what happens is the account owner's benefits would be suspended, but they are not removed from the NC-ABLE program. So what would happen then is the individual can just simply stop contributing money into their ABLE account and spend down their account. And then once that NC-ABLE account balance is spent down below that $100,000 level, then the individual's benefits, if they're receiving SSI or SSDI, would be reinstated. So I do want to cover the able to work provision. So for an individual who is working, the able to work provision allows them to save or contribute even more than that $17,000 annual limit. And this goes for working account owners who are working full or part-time. So in addition to that $17,000 from all sources, a working individual can add the lesser of their earned income of the one-person poverty level for the prior year. So for 2022, that amount was $13,590. So if an individual is working and they have the resources, they could actually save up to $30,000. I'm sorry, $30,590 for the year. I do want to note one caveat here. Working account owners are not eligible to contribute those additional funds into their ABLE account if they are also already contributing to their retirement through either a defined contribution plan, an annuity contract, or an eligible deferred compensation plan. So that's just one caveat to note with the able to work provision. So now I'm actually going to touch on the ways in which you actually add money into an NC-ABLE account. So I do want to note here that NC-ABLE accounts are not available through a brick and mortar business. So for example, you can't just walk into a bank down the street and open an account. However, individuals can easily fund their accounts by either filling out a check and mailing it in, with an electronic funds transfer or by moving money from one bank account into another online. For working individuals, they can choose a payroll deduction, and then this automatically gets deposited into their account every payroll cycle. Something that's pretty new is that SSI payments can now be directly deposited into an ABLE account. And again, that's very convenient. And then lastly, NC ABLE accounts also have the UGift feature. And that allows friends and family to easily contribute into an ABLE account. And you can learn more about the UGift feature at ugiftable.com. So now let's talk about the different investment options that are available with NC ABLE accounts. One of the questions that we actually get quite often is, once money is in the account, what options do I have for actually investing it? The first option is there's a checking account option, and this option is offered through Fifth Third Bank. This option looks like most other checking accounts, and it may be a good idea for an account holder who has short-term expenses. These accounts are interest bearing. They are FDIC insured up to $250,000. There is a debit card that comes with the checking account, and there is no card insurance fee. The checking account offers the ability, of course, to write checks. You can also access your funds with this option through ATMs with Fifth Third. And Fifth Third Bank actually has over 1,000 ATM locations across the South and Mid-Atlantic and Midwest regions of the United States. So they're pretty broadly located. And then finally, with this option, there's no overdraft fees. So for money that may not be needed in the short term, we do have longer term savings plans. And this is really ideal for individuals who are looking to save enough money to purchase more expensive items. So maybe you're saving for a new car that's wheelchair accessible or costly medical equipment. So these longer term investment options are represented by the 6 portfolios that you see on this slide, and they vary based on risk level from conservative to aggressive. So each of these options also blends stocks, bonds, and cash. I do want to note, though, that these options are not FDIC insured, and you could lose money with them just like any other stock or bond on the stock exchange. So in other words, their performance is not guaranteed. But the benefits of these investment options is it gives the account owner the ability to save for longer term needs. So maybe if you have, for instance, a child who is 5 or 10 years old and you open an account and you want to save for college or independent living at some point in the future, it's really nice to have these longer term options available. Really, it's up to the individual and why they're saving and what they hope to do with the money to really determine which option is best for them. And we know investing can be a tricky topic. So if you go to our website, ncable.org, we have further breakdowns of each of the investment options. And we also have some personas of fictional people and what they may be using their money in an ABLE account for, and a breakdown of what option may be best for them based on their situation. So again, I want to plug those resources because they can really help when you're choosing, which investment or checking account option may be best for you. Now I'm going to discuss how the money in an NC ABLE account can actually be used. So it's important to recall here that dollars go into an ABLE account after taxes. and they grow tax-free and remain tax-free as long as they are used for a qualified disability expense, or what we refer to as a QDE. And QDEs are defined under the same federal legislation that I talked about earlier. So all ABLE programs across the country have to abide by the same set of rules. The good news here, though, is that QDEs are defined very, very broadly. And what we go by a QDE, I'm actually going to read this from the slide, is it's any expense related to the account owner's disability that can be used for the benefit of the account owner in maintaining or improving their health, independence, or quality of life. So really the key things here to keep in mind is that the expense has to be for the account owner's benefit, and it has to be related to their disability. So on this slide, you'll see some common examples of QDEs. They include things like housing, so maybe rent payments or mortgage payments, transportation, such as, again, maybe modifications that are needed to a car or buying a monthly bus pass, medical bills, legal fees, even things like food, clothes, educational expenses, and even cell phones may be considered a QDE. So, for example, when you think about a cell phone, especially in terms of quality of life and one's independence, most of us rely on cell phones to get around and travel on a daily basis. Some other things that can be considered QDEs are occupational therapies, physical therapy, supportive technologies, and even financial management. So some questions that come up quite a bit are, who makes sure that funds in an ABLE account are actually being used appropriately? And the answer to that is the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, are the ones that make sure the funds in ABLE accounts are being used correctly. And they may do this by issuing an audit. So we also get asked quite often, should I be keeping records of all the qualified disability expenses that are paid for by my ABLE account? And we say yes, we do recommend that you save all the receipts of your purchases from your NC ABLE account, again, just in case you are ever questioned by the IRS. We also recommend that you maybe consider keeping a record of how each expense is also related to your disability, or how it helps you increase or maintain your quality of life. And again, this is not something that is, something that we make you do with the NC ABLE program. However, it will cover yourself and come in really, really handy just in case you are ever audited by the IRS. So we've already talked about how you put money into an NC ABLE account. Now let's talk about how you can actually get your money out of the account. So first, you can withdraw your money by using an ATM machine. And again, Fifth Third Bank have ATM machines all across the country, and they're very broadly located. You can also use a checkbook and physically write a check. You can use an electronic funds transfer to move money out of your NC ABLE account. And of course, you can use a debit card. So as you can see here, there are very easy methods to withdraw money from an NC ABLE account. And we really want to make sure that people have access to their money as easily as possible. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the different fees that are associated with an NC ABLE account. So again, we have one of our fundamental beliefs at the NC ABLE program is that ABLE is not just a savings account. And as such, we work really hard to keep the fees as low and competitive as possible. And there are just 3 fees associated with an account. So first, there is the annual account maintenance fee of $33. and that's a flat fee. So regardless of the account size, it is a $33 fee, and that's if an individual elects electronic statements. So if an individual wants to have paper statements, then that's bumped up to a $58 annual fee. The bulk of this fee, or $28 of the $33, is actually goes to the program manager to kind of help us run the entire program. And then $5 of that actually goes to the state of North Carolina, just to pay for some costs to help administer the program. For those of you who elect the checking account option, Fifth Third charges $2 a month for this. However, the good news here is that $2 fee can easily be waived. So first, if your average daily account balance is $250 or more, or if you elect to have electronic delivery of statements, that $2 monthly fee is waived. And then finally, the third fee is the charge for the underlying investments in the program. So we've worked to keep these very low, and it ranges between 30 basis points and 33 basis points. And then the way you actually convert that to dollars is that for every $1,000 you have invested, the fee would be $3 to $3.30 annually. So again, it really depends on how your account is set up, but you would just simply add up those three items and you'll have the total annual fee on your account. So as we near the end of the presentation, I did briefly want to mention special needs trusts. So we often get the question, if I have an ABLE account, do I need a special needs trust? Or if I have a special needs trust, do I need an ABLE account? And we like to say, look at this as two separate tools to have in your toolbox. So you may not need both an ABLE account and a special needs trust, but you may benefit from both depending on your circumstances. So generally speaking, there are more restrictions on how money can be spent from a special needs trust. But then on the flip side, they are not restricted to the same funding limitations within a given year that ABLE accounts are. So really our best advice here is that if you're dealing with sizable assets, you should really speak with a special needs trust attorney to determine which option is best for you. And we actually recently recorded a webinar on this topic. So if you go to ncable.org and look at the resources tab, you can actually view this webinar as well as other resources that we have posted around this topic. So this, of course, is a very sensitive topic. However, I understand it's very important for planning purposes. So I will cover what happens to money in an ABLE account when the account owner passes away. So when looking at what happens to money in an ABLE account after the death of an account owner, first, the funds from their ABLE account can be used by his or her estate to repay any outstanding qualified disability expenses. That could be things like outstanding medical bills and funeral and burial costs. Next, if the account owner was receiving Medicaid benefits, then Medicaid can actually file a claim for payback upon the account owner's death. And then lastly, if after the Medicaid recovery claim has been paid and all QDEs have been paid, if there is a residual account balance left, the remaining account balance is paid then to the account owner's estate. Before closing tonight, I did want to share with you all several resources and ways to learn more about the NC ABLE program and just ABLE in general. So what is provided on this slide are a number of different resources and ways to contact us. So ncable.org is our main website, and we are always working to expand the content and tools that we make available online. So again, if you visit the website, you'll notice a resource section that includes FAQs, as well as an events page where you can review and register for all of our upcoming webinars. We are also active on social media. So we ask that people follow us on Twitter, join our Facebook page, and check out our YouTube channel. And then when we do have updates on the program, we typically post them to our website and on social media first. So for example, last year, there were some regulatory changes to the program, and we posted it on these sites first. And then finally, again, you'll see that toll-free number to our call center, and they're available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. Eastern time to help you with any questions that you may have. And then on this slide, you'll find resources for the ABLE National Resource Center. And their website is a really great place to get general information about ABLE. And one thing that's great about their website is that if you're looking to compare the different state ABLE programs, they have a really neat tool where you can actually click on all of the different states that you're interested in, and a pop-up will come up with all the different details. So it really allows you to compare side by side the different state programs to help you make a decision about, which option may be best for you. And then again, this is the close of our presentation. I know this was a lot of information, so I want to thank you all for hanging in there with me. I am certainly happy to answer questions that you may have. And then Stephanie also has my contact information, so you can feel free to reach out if, after you go home, you're thinking about the presentation and some questions pop in your mind, feel free to reach out to us. And then again, I encourage you to go to our website, ncable.org, that has quite a bit of really great resources that could potentially help answer your questions as well.
So Zora, could we open it up? We do have a few questions in the chat.
Yes.
I'll start with those, but and then we'll go in if anyone else has any other questions. So Anne asked, do parents of an adult have to have a birth certificate or power of attorney?
Correct. So parents of an adult, if they lack legal capacity, they need to provide a birth certificate or proof of power of attorney in order to be added onto the account and act as an authorized individual. And then that will help them be able to help manage the account.
I think when we opened my son's account, we have a power of attorney, and I believe I had to get a letter from the attorney saying it was still in standing.
That it was in good
Yes.
standing. Yep, that sounds right. And when you open the account, if this is a situation you're in, you'll actually receive as you go, there'll be prompts that tell you what is needed, where to send the information or how to upload it. So it's a pretty step-by-step process as you're going through the enrollment process.
Yes. And from Grace, we have, what is an example of a retirement plan specifically? And I think she asked this when you were talking about if you have a qualified retirement plan from work.
Right. So, some common examples of that are, say, you're a working individual, you have an NCABLE account, and your employer also offers a 401k, and you are contributing money into that 401k. If that is the case, then you would not be able to add that additional funding from the able to work provision. However, if you're a working individual and you are not contributing to like a 401k or a 457 plan through your work, you can add that extra money into your account. And as I said, this year it's up to $30,590. Did that clear up the question?
Grace, you can unmute yourself. Not sure she's still on.
Oh, okay.
I
So
don't
again,
see her on there. Yeah.
again, some common examples are like a 401k or a 457 plan that employers often provide.
She also asked with question mark Roth IRA, like specifically which account. So it would be either a Roth IRA or a employer-based IRA, either one of those.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then she said, what if you use a checking account? However, you choose to no longer use the account, how do you close it?
So if you create a checking account with NCAble and you get to the point where you're like, hey, I'm not really using this. I want to close this checking account. You would simply call that 800 number, or I'm sorry, 888 number to our customer service center, and they can walk you through the process over the phone of how to close that. So it's something you can do pretty easily right over the phone.
And she also asked if you roll from a 529 to an ABLE, is it taxed?
No, it is not taxed.
Okay.
Good questions.
Then Miriam, can a portion of the SSI be transferred to the ABLE account as a way to save for the future?
So that's a really great question. As of now, the full amount of any SSI needs to be deposited into the ABLE account. So either you don't deposit any of the SSI money into the account, or you deposit all of your monthly SSI money into the account. Unfortunately, right now, there's no in between how it's set up. You can't just do a portion. You either have to do all of it or nothing. But if you do choose to do all of it and deposit it, yes, you can also put those into the different investment options if you choose.
And a checking account, so you have cash flow if you need it.
Correct. You could either do the checking account, you could do the investment options, or you could do a mixture of both.
Okay. And Miriam also asked, guardianship also works if you open an account, and I know that. Yes.
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 Okay, so I've got a couple of other questions here. Can you move an IRA into an ABLE account?
As of now, no. Unfortunately, that is not an option. That is something that we've had come up just in speaking with different people and different organizations. So, it's something that we hope to make available in the future, but as of now, regulations do not make that possible.
Okay, and then is payment to estate taxable to the estate or to the beneficiary, or is estate settlement also tax-free?
That is a really great question. If you don't mind, Stephanie, could we
Yes.
collect that person's information? Because that is actually something I would need to run past our legal counsel, because I'm actually not
Yes.
100% sure of that. So really great question.
Can I just email you that?
Yeah,
Okay,
if you don't mind, Stephanie.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to make a copy of it. Huh? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. He's going to email me and then I'll forward it to you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Again, really great questions.
Yes. So anyone else, we can open it up if anyone else has a question they would like to ask.
And again, I know that was a lot of information thrown at you. As Stephanie mentioned, we will be sharing the slides with you. So, after you've had a chance to kind of sit on all the information and maybe look at the deck again, Stephanie has all my information. You know, I encourage you all to reach out at any time. We're happy to help.
All right. Any other questions at all? Well, thank you guys so much for coming in, and Zora, we so appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. I will have the PowerPoint and the recording of this to you, hopefully by in the morning. Give me a till the morning to do that. And then I'll also forward Zora's contact information as well, so that you have that. But thank you so much for tonight.
Yeah,
Well, I really appreciate it. And thank
yes,
you all
thank you.
for coming.
Thank you all for joining and for the really great questions. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Zora. Bye-bye.
No worries. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miriam. Bye. Oh, you're muted. He's probably going to play. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
You have to end your recording.
Well, I think I have to do it from in there. Well, let's see if they'll let me do it right here.
Yeah, this was really informative.
She's good. I've sat in on several sessions with her. Yes.